Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of DevSync, where we discuss what we've worked on before, what are we working on right now, and what we're going to be doing this week as well. I think I'll go first. Last week was mostly research, a lot of research on how we can validate parachains on our runtime itself. So we started out with validating relay chain. That is done. So we are able to validate all the relay chain blocks in live. The next step for us is to actually validate the parachains so that the end goal of this is ideally not only to archive .sama, but also to be able to do a cross-chain messaging between a subspace parachain, which we're going to have later with the subspace runtime that is running independently. Uh, I have a document out there under protocol engineering in Notion that names as parachain validation. Please do have a look. If you have any questions, let me know. This week let me share my screen. 1 second. Yeah, so this week, finishing up one small thing that Sergey asked, that is the feed ID is not part of the events that whenever an object is put into the feeds, it's not part of it. The feed ID is not part of it. So we added the feed ID here, it's a small one. The other one that I'm currently finishing up is the object mappings, how we extract those object mappings. So last week, Nazar and I, we spoke about, at the moment, we are extracting all the object mappings for all the extrinsics. We do not filter those that have failed so that, so we only want to filter those that have successfully indexed or at least successfully validated by the runtime itself, which we haven't done that yet. So this PR ideally handles that. So the PR checks if the particular put call was validated by runtime. If so, then only the DSN indexes that particular object. That's pretty much it for this one. And the next one after this gonna be handling the last use case that we have, that is for the feeds. Let me give you what here. There is one task left over, that is of stage 2 for the validation upgrades. So at the moment, we start at one point when we are indexing the blockchain, the other blockchains. We start at one particular validation point. So up until that validation point, all the blocks are not validated. We just assume that they are validated by the feed owner itself. But after the validation point, we validate each and every block that comes after that particular point. So this ensures that the chain is always getting the newer blocks, and also we can pre-fill those existing blocks much faster without any validation checks. Now, we have another use case where we want to start at a point and then go backwards. In the sense, like right now, if you want to quickly do some testing, for example, Sergey would have better experience with this. If you want to quickly test something on feeds, you have to start from block 0 and then go to like block X. Now, this particular stage 2 would ideally get us to a point where you start at block X and then you go backwards and you go forward as well. Everything that goes forward, everything is validated. Everything that goes backward, all the blocks that you're pre-filling, all the parent blocks, they won't get validated because it is implicitly assumed that that particular block is a parent of the already validated descendant. So that's a only portion that I would have to finish up this week. Once we have that, again, we are discussing the parachain validation. Hopefully, we have some kind of concrete implementation, or at least concrete tech spec done by then in the next few days, so we can get started on that. Yeah. The next on my screen is Justin. Okay, I think Justin is AFK. Let's go with Ozgun, and then we can come back with Justin.
Okay. So today was an interesting day. One of our users named Trong found an issue related to Polkadot addresses. I pinged Serge and Nazar in the engineering chat. Serge, did you have any chance to look on it?
Yeah, I saw you tag me, but not yet.
Okay, so this
I
one
will
is weird,
take
and
a
I
look
actually want to
after.
share it with whole team. So Serge, you can also start looking at it here. So I'm gonna share screen. I think it is visible now. So what's happening is we are generating a mnemonic using the Polkadot API code on the front end using TypeScript. And this is their code. And when I use this code, the reward address displayed on the Subspace desktop app is different than the address that is being displayed in the Polkadot.js wallet address. And this is the workflow. So imagine that you created the mnemonic in the Subspace desktop app. You copied the mnemonic, and then you use that mnemonic to import a wallet in the extension wallet. The reward addresses displayed in the desktop app and the wallet are different. And I thought that it was related to something I made or our testnet chain, but it was not. So this is the default code from their website, their official website. So this mnemonic should generate this reward address, but it is generating that reward address. And also I have some other examples. This is for Kusama. It's again different. This is setting SS56 format to 2 for Kusama. This one is in general format. This one is in Polkadot format. So I don't know what's changed in the backend in the code or Polkadot.js, but I think there's some inconsistency between the API and the JS wallet. So any ideas? Like, did you guys have any knowledge on that? Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't think so.
Quick question, like, is SS58 format 2 for Polkadot or like Kusama? Are we
2
sure
is
about
for
that?
Kusama, 0 is for Polkadot, and we are using, I believe, 2254 for our testnet.
Okay, interesting.
But it was not related to our code because for these codes as well, it doesn't work. It doesn't match. So that was really interesting. Yeah, Serge?
Did you check any issues in the repository, Polka.js?
Good idea. No, my bad, I didn't. I will check it. And if you also
Yeah,
agree that this is related to Polkadot, I will create an issue there.
yeah, I think you should create an issue.
Okay.
I have one quick question though. I was going like, have you checked how they are deriving the mnemonic? Usually they do hard derivations. I'm not sure if the create from your is doing any kind of hard derivations because I remember they do have a default hard derivation for all the dev accounts for some reason. I'm not sure if they're appending that by any chance to this mnemonic internally.
I also follow the mnemonic generation in the official documentation. So it's not, of course, hard coded, but it's generated. I'm following the same way, but I think it's irrelevant because the mnemonic here is the same. So I copy pasted the same, exactly same mnemonic in here, and it shouldn't have generated a different reward address. So I don't think the issue is from mnemonic, but on the reward address generation from mnemonic. Okay, we can talk about this later asynchronously in Discord. Other than that, okay, so another big news for today. We were discussing an external config file for Subspace Desktop. I finally managed to do that. Now both backend and frontend logs are also stored in the external config file. And last week we were mainly dealing with 04.x versions with Justin. We found some additional bugs, fixed them, and now I think 0.4.7 is stable. beside that issue I just mentioned in the Polkadot side. But it's not related to our versioning or our code. I think it's probably related to Polkadot side, so nothing needs to be changed in 4.7. And last but not least, we updated all our Tauri dependencies for the Subspace desktop. Now we are using all up-to-date Tauri dependencies. Had to change some minor things in the code, but it's all okay. That's all from my end.
Thank you, Özgen. Serge, you're next.
Sure. So last week I was mostly busy with Relayer, specifically with deploying RelayNet, and I updated snapshots and made some updates to Relayer related to changes in funding mechanism. So currently we have to manually fund those accounts because on the latest snapshot, balance transfers are disabled. And after everything was deployed, we discovered like few issues that Nazar mentioned on Discord. Some of them are UI issues because previously Leo was handling UI and I forgot about changing it. And this is what I'm doing at the moment. And another issue was related to feed ownership. So currently only those accounts who create feed can submit objects. And historically, we currently have configuration for every relayer, separate configuration, but feed IDs are not necessarily consecutive. It can be like, for example, Polkadot, we have 17, and then we can skip few, and the next parachain can be like 32, for example. And when we create feeds first for one config and then for another config. So there was a situation when someone created a feed for another chain. And it worked because we had same amount of accounts in configuration and same amounts of feeds on chain. But it doesn't work because now we have feed ownership. So yeah, I will make some updates so it will be consistent. Yeah, and after that, I plan to start helping Ozgun with Subspace Desktop. So that's the plan.
Thank you, Serge. Justin.
Yeah, so as Ozgun mentioned last week, we were testing out various different versions of Subspace Desktop. So far on 4.7, Ozgun haven't had any issues, so we should be good to go. I'll do a final run through it this morning and get back to you. Beyond that, we've also got the new snapshot we've been testing out. I sent a message to the team late last week to try and get that running. Quick friendly reminder, if you haven't done that, please get up and running because we want to make sure we have enough archival nodes for this transfer, because we're going to have every user basically on the network switching from an archival node to a full node. We don't want to make sure there's no issues there. Beyond that, Nazar did start version controlling the farming documentation. Due to that, we're going to be implementing version control into the docs so we can kind of match that that methodology. Honestly, we're probably going to version control all three different products that are on there. So Subspace Monorepo, Subspace Desktop, and also Subspace JS. Because obviously all three of those will be going through pretty major changes as we continue to grow. Beyond that, some of my next objectives moving forward will be continuing to wrap up some of the things on the community side and hopefully getting localization deployed to our Webflow website so we can start deploying to foreign languages a little bit more efficiently.
Thank you, Justin. Shamil, you're up.
I'm reading the docs. Last week, I finished the first part of our onboarding guides and discussed them with Jeremiah and started the second part. That's it.
Cool. Cool. Vishen.
So last week I had a discussion about the next step of the decoupled execution with Nether and German. And we have figured out there are a few things that needed to be done for the initial deployment. One is to handle the submitted execution VCs on permachain properly, which includes some necessary checks and then like include the receipts like on the permachain. The other one is like when the executor finish the major sync, it should submit the signed receipt from the last one seen on the permachain, like instead of the tip of the permachain. So far, I have created a PR for the part of like applying the checked receipts, like assuming like we have like checked the receipts properly. It has been reviewed and merged. I also work on the other things I just mentioned in parallel, but I haven't finished them. So going forward to this week, I will finish this like MVP of the decoupled execution. And we'll also try to work on the post MVP if I have more time. Yeah, that's all my updates.
Thank you, Lishan. I think that is all from my end. Cool. Thank you everyone who's watching. We'll see you again in another week.